Hello, welcome to the interface. I am Hari Kumar with the second episode on Prabhakara Siddha Yogi. Today I am going to tell you about the most fascinating and mysterious miracles performed by Prabhakara Siddha Yogi. I request you to willingly suspend your disbelief before you listen to my narration. The appearance of Prabhakara, right from the appearance of Prabhakara Siddha Yogi in the society onwards, his life was full of mysterious events and his actions were not of those type who we consider as miracles. I collected this information from three types of sources. Number one is I gleaned it from different publications, including newspapers published in late 1940s, when for the first time Prabhakara Siddha Yogi's miracles were recorded. And the second source is direct interaction with those who had first-hand experience. And the third is information given to me by those who got it from direct sources. Those direct sources were members of their own family or their close friends. So these three types of sources help me to collate this information. Prabhakara Siddha Yogi's appearance in the public domain or in the society happened in early 1940s. But the recorded details came out in public in late 1940s. And that was first published by a leading Malayalam daily known as called Madhubhumi. So let us start with his entry into our society or the public realm. In early 1940s, a group of fishermen who were fishing off Kochi coast, to be precise off Mattancherry coast in Kochi, they caught a body of a human being in their fishing net and they dragged it ashore. They thought that it might be a dead body. When they took it out of the net, they found that the man was alive. And immediately they reported to the police because at that point of time, Second World War was in brewing. It was about to begin. So there were apprehensions of spies from different countries, especially Japanese spies coming to India. So they immediately alerted the police and the police came and took the man to the police station. At that time, it was said that, reported in Madhubhumi newspaper, that his body was covered by molluscs and a lot of seaweeds. They were all removed and the man was put in lockup. When the police asked him about his whereabouts, he said his name is Prabhakara Nambudiri and he belongs to Agavurmana near Kaladi. But the police didn't believe it because they thought that he was giving a fake identity to escape from further questioning. And they subjected to him to third-degree torture. And to their surprise, they found that whenever they beat up this man, he was not bothered. He was just smiling. And those who beat him up, they felt pain in the body and it was as if their body was paralyzed. So the policemen were afraid also. What was happening? Then a senior policeman told the sub-inspector that the arrested man could be a holy man. And the sub-inspector found that when he went to home to have his lunch, he found that the plates on which food was served to him started moving away on its own. He tried to catch them, but it could not. There was a huge outcry at his home. So his family also got afraid. That way it was around 2-3 days. But the man was not eating or eating any food or drinking even water. He was not passing motion also. So immediately the inspector became very afraid and he fell at the feet of the mysterious person and he begged pardon. Immediately the mystic pardoned him. And meanwhile, outside there was a huge commotion because people came to know about it and because some policemen themselves leaked it out. And the people were complaining. They gathered in front of the police station and said, why was a man who didn't do anything wrong being kept in lockup? Immediately the local magistrate sent a notice to the police and asked them to produce this man before him. So it became a huge problem for the local police. Now eventually they realized that the man was innocent. But at the same time the man was not willing to go away. So it became a trouble for the police. The man is not leaving the police station or he has not done anything wrong. So no case could be charged on him. And somebody then said, why can't we send a person to his ancestral home? They might come and take him away. So some policemen went to the Agavurmana and they came in a car. A few people, old people, elders from Agavurmana came and Prabhakara Siddha Yogi went away with them. So according to the later reports published, Prabhakara Siddha Yogi by that time when he left the police station, he stayed there for over a week, roughly 8 days. And during the time, he never ate or drank water. And he didn't even pass motion also. So that was a medical wonder. The newspapers reported that the doctor who examined him said the man's health was perfect. His heartbeat, blood pressure, everything was normal. So that was the first miracle known to us, which was performed by Prabhakara Siddha Yogi, and details of which are on public domain. So from that day he started living at his ancestral home, which is Agavurmana, a very well-known Nambudiri family, as I had told in my first episode. His father, Prabhakara Siddha Yogi's father, belonged to Agavurmana and his mother belonged to Alvancheri. Now he started living in the Agavurmana. He used to engage in philosophical discussions with elders in the family. And sometimes he used to go out and take a bath in Periyar, the largest river in Kerala, which was flowing near the house. So sometimes a few children from the family used to accompany him because he used to perform some antics in the river. But that were all like normal human beings did. He would jump into the river, swim across the river, which was known to be a very dangerous river because of its very speedy flow of water. But he was a stout person and he swam across the river and swam back and forth a few times. And children were all surprised and were happy to see his aquatic antics. And one day, when the river was in spate, he called a few children and some of the elders also accompanied him to the riverside. And when they reached the river, Prabhakara Siddha Yogi cut off a huge banana leaf and put it on the water. Then he climbed onto it. Normally, the leaf would sink and it cannot carry a human. It cannot withstand the weight. But here the leaf floated like a boat. He sat on the leaf and he paddled it and he went across the river and came back. The children were very happy. They clapped their hands. Then another surprise was in wait for them. What he did that is immediately the banana leaf started moving upstream against the flow. There was very strong currents, but despite that, the banana leaf started moving upwards like a speedboat. And it went for some distance and it swerved and it came back again in huge speed. So everybody was surprised seeing this fascinating, wonderful, mysterious act. But by that time, one of the elders who was standing by the side of on the shore, he just fainted because he couldn't withstand the magic. So Prabhakara Siddha Yogi realized that there are people who cannot withstand the surprise. But children were not that much afraid, but elders were afraid. And he stopped the antics and he climbed up to the shore. And then the old people asked him not to repeat such antics anymore. So that created a furor in the family. So some thought that he was a black magician, and some of them thought that he may not belong to the family and might have infiltrated. So there were differences of opinion within the family, Agaur family, and Prabhakara Siddha Yogi realized that. So without getting angry, he told them he was leaving the place because he wanted to travel. And though some of the elder members of the family were pained at the new development, they didn't have the power to stop Prabhakara Siddha Yogi, and he went away from the family. So this is the myth. Maybe I wanted to check this with the family members. So I called one of the family members, the eldest member of the family, Kunjanajan Nambudripad. He said that was all true because when this happened in 1948, Kunjanajan Nambudripad was a kid and he had vague memories of what happened. And he said his grandfather told him was that Prabhakara Siddha Yogi really belonged to his family. And it is true that he was born in 1263 in the family, early 1260s. And then he went away and he is an immortal now. So that at least the family confirmed it. So it's not simply a fabricated story. Then after he left the place, he was roaming around. Kunjanajan Nambudripad said the family members once met him en route to Sabarimala temple. They were going to the family, all the elder members of the family were on a pilgrimage to Sabarimala, and just after Pampa, on the way to the temple, in the forest they saw a small crowd of people looking at a tree. So there may be something mysterious. The family members also stopped there and they found that a man was hanging upside down and doing meditation like that. So when the family members stopped there and they looked up, the man saw them and he awoke from his meditation and he climbed down and he spoke to them and he materialized a few sweets for all of them. So after leaving this place, after leaving Akaurmana, Prabhakara Siddha Yogi is said to have spent some time in Sabarimala forest, where he lived amidst animals and even carnivorous animals like tigers, he used to befriend them and tame them. And there were many stories about Prabhakara Siddha Yogi saving pilgrims from tigers and other carnivorous animals, predators. So, this was another mysterious incident. Then Prabhakara Siddha Yogi went away from there. He didn't, thereafter, he never stayed permanently at a place. He would stay at one location for some time. And when he realized that the people at that place have started worshipping him, he will move away from the place. During the next few decades, when he lived among the public, he was reported seen simultaneously at different places. And he was known by different names in different places. In Punnapra beach area, where he lived for some time, where he was seen frequently, he was known as Podiyan Swami, Kairila Kallan, and by such names. In Ochira and Vallikkavu and other Azhikal places, those places are also beach areas. He was called Unniyappa Swami, he was called Punnunakki Swami. And in Kollam, he was known as Unniyappam Swami. Unniyappam is a delicious sweet in Kerala, which is said to be a favorite of Lord Krishna. And in Pathanamthtita and Kottayam, he was known by the name Prabhakara Siddha Yogi only. But from the descriptions of people from all these areas, we know that it was the same person. It was a person who was dark, stout, and with a jet black hair. The same, and the photos also prove that he was the same person. So simultaneously he was seen in different places. And at the same time he was there often at Sabarimala also. Perhaps that was a different stage of his life. And at that point of time, he performed several miracles. For example, in Punnapra, he lived among fisher folk. And he was known to be a badass character there. He used to snatch the newly caught fish from fishermen and will run away jokingly. Then the fisherman will be after him, asking him to return the catch. He will not. Initially, he will not. He will have fisticuffs with them. He will fight with them. And eventually he returned. And sometimes it used to get serious. The fights used to get serious. But nowhere people mention that Prabhakara Siddha Yogi used weapons. Even though the fisher folk would attack him with sticks and oars, he would never retaliate with any weapon. So there is a report that once he was caught up in a huge commotion. The fishermen were fed up with his antics. So that day they decided to teach him a lesson. And a few stout fishermen attacked him. But he was like a seasoned martial artist. He fought back. He punched them. He landed a few kicks on them, jabbed them. And they found that it was difficult to handle this old man. How easily he evaded their punches and kicks. They were in trouble. So they thought of using another trick. They immediately threw a net on him so that he couldn't move. Now he was caught in the net, and then they beat him up with oars. Blood came out of his head. He was beaten on head, chest, everywhere. And he fainted. Prabhakara Siddha Yogi fainted. And he fell down. Now the fishermen were afraid. They thought this man might have died. He might be dead. So they ran away. When they ran away, he got up and he walked away. Then somebody who saw it asked him, Swami, was there any need to fight with these ruffians? And see how brutally they have attacked you. And then he just smiled. And the next day, those people who attacked him said they were totally surprised and flabbergasted to see the same person who fainted yesterday was walking as if nothing had happened yesterday. So that way he lived among the ruffians, and he himself was a badass at Punnapra. In Ochra, he was known as Punnunaki Swami. He was not very well known among the male folk, because many people were or believed or had apprehensions that this man was leading a licentious life. He was morally not right. The myth says during that period, women in the area had been affected by a particular type of sores, and they were actually afraid to go to a doctor and tell them about it, because it could be mistaken as something like gonorrhea, a sexually transmitted disease. So Prabhakara Siddha Yogi would lie down on the lap of certain women and he would lick it. When he licked the wounds or sores on the lower stomach, immediately that would be cured. So at that area he was called Punnunaki Swami. So where he would lick the sores and cure it. So that led to the name. In Malayalam, Punnu means sore, Punnunaka means lick. So he was known by that name. So there were rumors about his illicit relationships in that place. But those who I interacted, those who had seen it, they said he never did anything. It was true that he licked the sores, but there ended it. Nothing more. The rest of it was imagination by the people, because people couldn't accept that a male licking the wounds of a female. But for an avadhuta, there is no difference between gender. Whether it is a male or a female, they don't care. Because for them, gender is just a word. So that way he was known as Punnunaki Swami there. Now in Kollam, he was called Unniyappa Swami. There he had a different role. There the miracle was much different. He would sit in public places and would watch children playing. And the children would assemble around him, seeing a mysterious person. Then he would materialize Unniyappams from nowhere. And they were all hot Unniyappams. And he would distribute it to the children. They were very sweet Unniyappams. So a large number of children would come to have Unniyappams from there. He would be there in the evenings. Children would come, he would distribute sweets, and he will disappear. On one such day, a local thug heard about this, and he came to Prabhakara Siddha Yogi, Unniyappa Swami. He saw him. The man was drunk, and he asked for Unniyappams. And the Prabhakara Siddha Yogi didn't like that. He said, "Today Unniyappams are finished, so you come another day." The man was not ready to leave. He said, "Give me Unniyappams." Otherwise, I will beat you. Oh, that time Prabhakara Siddha Yogi decided to teach this man a lesson. He said, okay, I am going to give you Unniyapams. He gave him Unniyapams which were so hot that it stuck to the palms of this ruffian. He couldn't throw it away. So he was in severe pain. He cried aloud. He couldn't do anything. Nobody could help him. He ran around with his both palms were burned. People just laughed at seeing his cries. Then he realized his mistake. He came and fell at the feet of Prabhakara Siddha Yogi. He forgave him and said, don't drink again, never threaten people, do your job and lead a peaceful life. It was said that the man changed completely afterwards. So that was his role there. So in all these places, he tried to correct people and lead them to a righteous way of life. Sometimes he cured their diseases, ill health. Sometimes he made them realize certain things. So, but despite living in the midst of people, he never forgot his larger goal or mission. There may be some other reasons for him to live among the common man and teach them many things and lead at least some of them to the way of self-realization. So that was not an accidental thing. That was a deliberate act, a deliberate decision. It seems like that. In Pathanamthtita, Kottayam and other places, he moved among educated class of people who were middle class people. But at Thiruvananthapuram, the same time he was there at Thiruvananthapuram also, he moved among the elite class of the people, like the then Diwan Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer, or Travancore royal family members, and he said to have been very close with Colonel Godavarma Raja, who was a very well-known figure, a patron of sports and a public figure in Thiruvananthapuram. So he moved among the elite people at Thiruvananthapuram. At Kollam he moved among the children. At Ochara and Punnapra he moved among the fisher folk. That was his way of life. That was the life he followed there. In Kottayam and Pathanamthtita, he moved among lower middle class people. So during those periods he performed many surprising, mysterious, wonderful acts. And some of them are not performed by ordinary mystics. Some of them are like those performed by incarnations like Lord Krishna or Lord Rama. So I will give a description, or I will narrate about those things in the coming episodes. Till then, goodbye.